Let's start with a quote that really cuts right to the chase. If you've ever felt guilty for feeling sad or anxious or even angry, this idea from author Tal Ben-Shahar should come as a huge relief. It tells us that feeling pain isn't a sign that you're failing, it's a sign that you're alive. And, not a psychopath.
Hey everyone, today we are diving into a really powerful idea that might just change the way you think about well-being. We're going to look at why that constant chase for happiness so often backfires and introduce a much more effective goal, becoming anti-fragile.
So, here's our roadmap. First, we'll unpack what's called the happiness paradox. Then, we'll get into what it actually means to be anti-fragile, and I'll introduce you to a really practical framework called the SPIRE formula. We'll break down its 5 key parts and wrap it all up by framing this as a lifelong journey. Sound good? Let's go.
All right, first up, the happiness paradox. It's this super weird, counterintuitive idea that the harder we hunt for happiness, the more it just seems to slip right through our fingers. And the crazy part is, so many of us are caught in this trap without even realizing it.
So where does this all go wrong? Well, it starts with a completely false expectation. We've been sold this idea that a good life, a successful life, is one where you're just filled with constant joy with no negative feelings allowed. But like that opening quote reminds us, that's not just unrealistic, it's not even human. That belief just sets us all up to fail.
And listen, this isn't just some nice philosophical thought. It is backed by a ton of research. Study after study shows that people who put a really high value on being happy, they often end up less happy. They can even be more likely to get depressed. It's like the more you run towards the finish line, the farther away it gets.
Which of course brings us to the big question. If going straight for happiness is a trap, what's the alternative? How are we supposed to build a life that actually feels fulfilling?
And the answer lies in this fascinating concept, becoming anti-fragile. Now this goes way beyond just being tough or resilient. It's about completely changing our relationship with stress and hardship.
So, what on earth is anti-fragility? Well, the term was dreamed up by Nassim Taleb. And here's the key difference. A resilient system takes a hit and bounces back to how it was before. But an anti-fragile system, it takes a hit and actually becomes stronger because of it. It's like an upgrade.
Just look at this breakdown. Resilience is all about just withstanding the pressure and getting back to your baseline. Anti-fragility, on the other hand, that's about using the pressure to learn, to adapt, to actually level up your entire system. You don't just recover, you evolve.
The perfect real-world example? Lifting weights. When you lift, you're literally putting your muscles under stress. And what happens? They don't just fix themselves back to their original size. Nope. The whole process of repair actually makes them stronger and bigger than they were before. Your muscular system is a perfect example of something that's anti-fragile.
And the same exact principle applies to our minds. It's the difference between post-traumatic stress, PTSD, and something called post-traumatic growth, or PTG. It's this incredible idea that we can use life's challenges, all the stresses and hardships, as fuel to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. The goal then is to create the conditions for that kind of growth.
But okay, how do we actually build this anti-fragile system in our own lives? I mean, that sounds great, but how do we do it? Well, this is where the SPIRE formula comes in. It gives us a really practical, indirect path to well-being.
Think of it like this. Chasing happiness directly is like trying to stare at the sun. It's just painful and you can't do it for long. But if you look at the beautiful rainbow that the sunlight creates when it's broken down, you can appreciate its beauty without getting hurt. The SPIRE formula gives us those colors to focus on.
SPIRE is just an acronym for the 5 core elements that make up a whole life. That's spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional well-being. The whole idea is that by working on these separate pieces, we build a foundation where happiness can just show up naturally instead of us having to chase it down all the time.
So let's actually break down each of these 5 elements. This is where all that theory becomes something you can actually do.
Okay, so first, spiritual well-being. This isn't necessarily about religion, it's about having a sense of purpose. Then there's physical well-being, which is all about recovery from stress. Intellectual health is about staying curious, always learning. Relational is all about deep connections with others. And finally, emotional well-being. This is about accepting all your feelings and actively practicing gratitude.
I want to zoom in on the physical part for a second because this is one that so many of us get wrong. We think stress is the bad guy, but it's not. Stress is actually what we need to grow. The real problem
is the lack of recovery. Just like your muscles need rest to get bigger after a workout, our brains and bodies need downtime. So many of us are just always on, never taking breaks, and that's a direct path to burnout.
Next up, the relational element. And why the giant number one? Because study after study shows that the single greatest predictor of happiness is the quality time we spend with people we care about and who care about us, period. It is the number one most important factor for being anti-fragile and for growing through hard times. Don't ever forget, your relationships are your most valuable resource.
Now, within that emotional pillar, we find gratitude. The Roman philosopher Cicero called it the mother of all virtues. And man, he was onto something. When we actively look for and appreciate the good things in our lives, our brains literally get better at noticing them. This isn't about pretending the bad stuff doesn't exist. It's just about making sure the good stuff gets the airtime it deserves. What you appreciate, appreciates. So when we start to bring all 5 of these elements together, it leads us to this final and maybe most important idea of all.
The whole goal is not to reach some finish line called happy. It's not a switch you flip where you're either happy or you're not. It's a spectrum. It's a lifelong journey of growing and learning and becoming. As you can see here, it's the process that matters, not some imaginary destination.
And this is the ultimate mindset shift. It's moving from just passively hoping for the best to actively taking control. It's not about believing that every bad thing is a blessing in disguise. It's about developing the skill to find the benefit, to pull out the lesson, and to make the best of whatever life throws at you. That is the very heart of being anti-fragile.
So I'll leave you with this question. Instead of seeing stress as something you just need to get rid of, how can you start using it as a tool? What is one small pressure in your life? A tough project at work, a difficult conversation you need to have, a new skill you're trying to learn that you could reframe right now as a chance to become just a little bit stronger?